All right. Hey, Vikings fans. Welcome into another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
And I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer and talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And we got to go to our first Vikings game since we've started this podcast together.
Yeah.
And we saw the Vikings beat down on the Packers at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. And it was even more special than that because potentially we witnessed history as a few career Vikings may have played their last game in purple.
Yeah, kind of bittersweet, a little emotional. But we also got to bring up a few names of people from the team and around the league and whether or not they'd be a part of the Vikings next year.
And we can't forget about two classic beers that we've had before on the podcast. We had them again, and both of them hit the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're ready for episode 121 of the Skol Hop, grab a cold one and join us. Skol.
That was a good one.
All right, we just want to say thank you to show sponsor That's Badass Wood Art for sponsoring today's episode. If you're watching us on YouTube or Spotify, you can see our own personal piece of wood art from That's Badass Wood Art. We're rocking probably one of the more popular art pieces they have on their website. It's the Skol piece. I guess I don't know the official name. That's the only thing I can think to call it. It says Skol, and the O cutout is the state of Minnesota. It's really sweet, high quality, well put together. I think it's just one dude that is the whole That's Badass Wood Art team, and it's really good. So if you too want a piece like this or really any other kind, I feel like there's hundreds of designs, plus they do custom work too. You can go to their website, that's badasswoodart.com. Also, they're pretty vocal on social media, so if you want to check out some of their own pieces, other pieces, go check them out on all the socials. And when you do check out, when you're ready to finally make a purchase, there's going to be a spot for you to put a promo code in, and if you use our promo code, which is Skol Hop, all one word, SKOLHOP, that will get you 10% off any and all orders. That's good for anything on their website, custom orders included. So go ahead and check them out. We have our own larger piece. It's a custom piece for the Skol Hop. It'll replace our main flag here that we've got on the studio, and that should be here, I would think, really any episode here in the next handful of episodes. It should be here, I would think. So keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited for it. Thank you. That's Badass Wood Art.
Yeah, thanks. Excited to get our piece. It'll look great up here. So we need to talk.
We do. That's what we do here. We're a podcast.
We'll get to the game here in a little bit. We were actually in attendance at the game. Pretty awesome. We've been spinning the wheel quite a bit. There was a short little hiatus there, kind of in that middle of that 5-game win streak towards the end of the season.
And I think we only spun it once since that hiatus.
Yeah.
But over the season, we've spun the wheel of purple punishments quite a few times.
We have. And the season is now over. We picked correctly that the Vikings would beat the Packers in Week 18. However,
because we're true fans.
We are true fans, and I hate the Packers. However,
yes,
I would like to propose something.
What are you doing?
As long as you're not opposed to this.
I thought we were done. Are you?
Do you remember
the 21st night of September?
Do you remember our postseason picks? I kind of pressured you into making postseason picks. Do you remember what both of us picked?
So you might pull it up because I don't remember specifically, but I do remember now that in the preseason we both picked schedules that were arguably playoff schedules.
They're very favorable,
or schedules that would earn a playoff berth. So now I'm thinking, did we make selections for hypothetical playoff games for the Vikings this year?
We did. In typical you fashion, you tried to I'm not going to make any predictions, but if I remember right, I pressured you into it because I had done it the first time we ever did a pick'em, now 3 seasons ago. And you did it with me.
Yeah.
And we predicted 2 Vikings wins.
Whoa, in the playoffs?
Both of us did in the playoffs. We both predicted a wild card win and a divisional win. I think, if I remember right, we both thought that the Vikings wouldn't be the 1 seed. You predicted a 13-4 record. I predicted a 12-5 record. Obviously, we were pretty far off of those numbers. But we thought that the Vikings would be playing on wild card weekend, probably a home game with that type of record. And we thought they would win, and then we thought they would go on to win in the divisional round, meaning they would make an NFC Championship game appearance.
Okay.
So I think we should spin the wheel. It's only right.
Because we were so overly optimistic. And
we were way too cocky back in August.
It was earned. It was well earned. Okay,
it was.
We had reason. You said it 100 times, and I agreed with you. We had reason to be hopeful for this 2025 Vikings.
We did.
They just let us down, like we should have known. But anyways, okay. So you're saying since we were cocky, we thought the playoffs were kind of in the bag, that we should be punished for our terrible. All right, fine. Let's. Screw it. Let's go.
All right. We have 4 options left.
Oh, man. What are they?
Get sting-ponged.
Oh, I've totally dropped the ball on this. Friend of the show, Brian, gifted us a pretty nice ping pong set. And basically, with a note, said something to the tune of, I think you'll find something to put this to good use. And I think we got it over a week ago. Friend of the show, Brian, thank you for that, by the way. Also, I apologize that I didn't bring it and I'm not prepared. So at least we have it forever now, and it's in the future. We can add it to wheels here in the future.
Well, I still think we could get a book or something and just whoosh, you know. So there's that. The fake beard and the Helga hat.
Yeah.
We've got that.
It is still here. Okay.
They're both down here. We have 2 full jars of pickles that we bought for last year, and we never landed on it. So we could both be eating a full jar of pickles.
All right.
Or we could drink out of a sippy cup. Those are the options.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah. Well, yep. Let's go. We'll figure out logistics once we know.
We are going to eat an entire jar of pickles. Okay. All right, you're going to have to grab them because they're on your side there, my friend. Let's check the expiration date here, make sure that they're still good. Best by January 11th.
You know what? This is the time to do it. And so let's remind everybody. These are 17 fluid ounces, 1 pint and 1 fluid ounce. For the whole jar. Careful, Ev.
These are hard to open.
They are kosher dill pickles.
Got it.
And the intent is to consume the entire jar.
Juice and all. Yep.
Oh, all right. We've had some beers throughout the season that a pickle would have paired very nicely, like a Pilsner or something, just to drop it in. We're trying out 2 different kinds of beers tonight, beers that have been featured separately throughout the life of the Skol hop, but we're doing it again. I don't think either of these would be great with a pickle inside of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But that might be part of the punishment, is having pickles with beer that won't go very good with it. I told you that's a hard jar to open. You need some help?
I don't want to spill.
Yeah, I get you. No, I was in the same spot. Ooh, I think you're close. You got it.
Why'd you say it like that, Ev?
Say it like what?
All right, you know what? I'm just going to take a sip just right off the bat.
Oh, you're just going to take a shot of pickle juice? All right.
Just a chug. Skol.
And you know what's even worse is pickles are green. Wow, you had a lot of juice there.
Pickles are green, but the Vikings beat the Packers, so it doesn't sting as bad as it would have. All right, we're going to dink it and sink it.
Pickle number 1.
My goodness. Man. There we go. All right, pickle number 1. Skol.
A good pickle. I like a good pickle.
For being at the end of their life, they're still really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's in vinegar. It's going to preserve pretty well, I feel like. Comment, though, if you're listening. Do you like pickles or not? And sweet pickles or dill pickles? We are eating dill pickles.
I'm a dill pickle guy all the way.
Sweet pickles are from the devil. I will just get that out of there right now. I hate sweet pickles, and I hate even more grabbing something you think is a dill pickle and it's not, and then you eat it, and the expectation in your brain.
I don't think I've ever accidentally done that.
I have.
All right.
Not cool.
Well, as far as punishments go, that's not a terrible one. It's more one that, like, it's going to, in our stomachs, how is beer and pickles / pickle juice going to mix? But we'll figure that out.
Yeah. Well, let's get to some beer.
All right. Like I said, we've got 2 different beers. We have two show favorites here. The Big Grove Arms Race is what I'm going to be starting off with. This Arms Race is kind of the beer that inspired the flavors that we used to create our first Skol hop beer.
Yeah.
So this is an old classic for us at the Skol hop, and I'm looking forward to it. Oh, is it frozen?
This is frozen.
Oh no! You know what?
It's a slushy beer.
At least it didn't explode. We've been having issues with the Skol hop's little beer fridge here, and trying to tweak the right temperature for that fridge, and it has frozen some beers. Mine was not frozen. So
well, that's good news.
But yeah, I'm excited. Evan, what's the beer that you're trying right now?
I'm trying the Toppling Goliath Pseudo. This is possibly Iowa's most famous beer.
But yeah, potentially. So famous that I think I said this on the show a few weeks ago. I went to Universal Studios on a little mini adult vacation here in the beginning of November, and I was wearing the hat that I'm wearing right this minute, the Toppling Goliath hat. And somebody at Diagon Alley or Hogsmeade in Universal Studios, when I was trying to get a butterbeer, was like, "Oh, I'd love Toppling Goliath. I really like their Pseudo." And I was thrown for a loop. Like, what? Are you from Iowa? No. They sell it here. So they sell that Pseudo at Universal Studios.
There you go.
So yeah, pretty popular. Let's just dive right into these. Let's go.
Skol. That's a cold beer, that's for sure.
Yep, the Arms Race, really good. It's a pale ale with some really good ambery kind of flavors along with it. 6 something. What percentage is this? I can't find it right off the top of my head here. 6% flat. So yeah, solid beer. We've talked about it a few times. I'm really glad to be drinking it.
Yeah, and Pseudo is also a pale ale, but this has got none of the amber characteristics that the Arms Race has. In fact, I'm excited to flip-flop later when I finish this and you finish that. I might have one of those and you can have one of these. This is 5.8%. It's like a hazy IPA, and it's citrusy and delicious. It's good.
Nice. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, and as we continue to chomp on our pickles here, I think you started your second pickle, and I just finished my first. So let's talk about this game, Ev. The Vikings, they beat the Packers in a game that was completely meaningless for the Packers and mostly meaningless for the Vikings, but there were some things that the Vikings were playing for. Justin Jefferson was chasing 1,000 yards. We still wanted another game to see how J.J. McCarthy would play at quarterback. A couple other things we wanted to see. So overall, really fun. It's always fun to watch the Vikings beat the Packers. I don't care how meaningful or meaningless that game is. We also had some company. We were with some new friends of the show, Tim, a Packer fan, and Blue, who is a Vikings fan and has season tickets. We actually purchased our seats from, I think, his dad. So yeah, there was the 4 of us. We kind of made it a bro trip a little bit. It was a lot of fun. Capped off with a Vikings win, so hard to beat.
Yeah, shout out to Tim and Blue. Thanks for letting us tag along with you guys, and yeah, we had a lot of fun. And that's my rose. I think we can head right into roses and thorns.
All right.
My rose was that we got to be there. I've seen the Vikings play the Packers before, and I can't remember if I misspoke on this show or not, but I was telling some family that I was going to this game, and I said out loud that I don't think I'd ever seen the Vikings play the Packers before, and my wife was very quick to correct me. She's like, "No, you watched them play with me when we went to TCF Bank Stadium back in like 2014." And I was like, "Oh yeah, Teddy Bridgewater was playing back then. I remember that." So
did the Vikings get the win back then?
No, they lost. The Vikings mounted a pretty decent comeback attempt at the end of the game, but they fell short. And I kept saying after that game, like, if the game would have been 2 minutes longer, the Vikings probably would have won. But it ended. Packers won. It is what it is. But this was the first time that I got to see the Vikings beat the Packers in person. So that was cool.
I have been at an NFL game that featured the Packers before as well. It was actually a preseason game in Kansas City. I think it was the first year that Pat Mahomes was entering the season as their QB1. So right before their Kansas City dynasty really started. I do not remember the outcome of that game at all, but I do remember it was the Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Yesterday was the first Vikings-Packers game I'd ever seen. And again, really glad the Vikings pulled out the victory. It was a lot of fun. My rose, I kind of said it a little bit earlier, Justin Jefferson. I knew he would. I wasn't really sweating it too much, but Justin Jefferson got his 1,000 yards. Pretty quick, too.
Yep.
I think he caught the first few balls of the game, and JJ was looking good, slinging it to him. It was a really good start to the game. I think the Vikings' first drive, they kind of marched down and then stalled out and had to kick a field goal. But, yeah, Justin Jefferson pretty early on got his 1,000 yards, got that out of the way. Everybody seemed to be following it, at the stadium. And once he caught the pass to get his 1,000 yards, it was a cheer as if it were a touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, as far as roses go in a meaningless game, Justin Jefferson, is he now, what's the stat? Is he one of 3 players in NFL history?
Him, Moss, and
Mike Evans.
Evans, yeah.
But what's the stat?
Third.
1,000 yards in their first 6 seasons so far.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it's just the 3 of them that have reached that. Now I know it's a little bit different because Randy Moss definitely did that when his whole career were 16-game seasons, and now, of course, they play 17-game seasons. But I'm pretty sure Jefferson's rookie year was the final year in the NFL they played 16-game seasons, and it's been 17 ever since. And admittedly, this is the closest season he's been to not hitting 1,000 yards. He had that, was it 2023 when he missed 7 games? Mm-hmm. Because in 2022 he got Offensive Player of the Year with like 1,800 yards receiving. So a little bit of a letdown in 23, but he still got 1,000. But yeah, this season, for all its bumps and bruises and ups and downs, it is nice that we don't have that forever memory of being tainted this year that Justin finally didn't get 1,000 yards. So that's my biggest rose for the game.
And I think too, like, to maybe just piggyback off that for a second, like, how awesome is it that we have the league's best receiver who
Absolutely
had a frustrating year and didn't do anything really to tarnish his reputation. Like, he could have gone way off the deep end and done like an Antonio Brown and like walked off with his shirt off in middle of the game and done that whole circus. He didn't. He could have played the media game and gone off in all these different press conferences about how frustrated he is. He could have even quietly just gone to KOC and Kwesi and demanded a trade and just be like, hey, things aren't working out, get me out of here.
Mm-hmm. And technically we don't know that didn't happen, but
True. There's
no reason for us to think that anything like that did happen.
Yeah. No, he said all the right things. He was the consummate professional, a consummate teammate. And I don't know, you almost give the guy a lifetime contract after that. And then you don't let him run the show, but when you're looking at quarterbacks this offseason, you involve him in that discussion. Like those meetings between JJ and, I shouldn't say JJ because we have a JJ. The conversations between Justin Jefferson and KOC will probably revolve heavily around who are we going to bring in to help us out with this, and also what are we going to do to continue to develop J.J. McCarthy to be the quarterback we need him to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with what you're saying here. It's not like you're going to say, as Kevin O'Connell, he's not going to sit down in his exit interview with Justin Jefferson and be like, all right, Justin, who do you think our quarterback has to be? And they're not going to just make the decision based off of that. But I guarantee professional to professional, they're going to go through the whole list of like, all right, what were the best parts? What were the worst parts? Here's, as KOC, here you go, Justin. These are the things I think you can work on. Be candid with me. What can I work on as a coach? How can we make this team better? Because Justin Jefferson's the face of the franchise. Shoot, the NFL is making him one of the faces of the Shield.
Yep.
And that's good, but the Vikings would be dumb not to at least have that conversation with Justin Jefferson. And for all the right reasons, I think it's a good thing to do. Like you just said, he's not complaining. He's just being a good teammate and a good player. And everything about him is positive. So
yeah,
the cherry on top was getting the stat that's maybe you roll your eyes at it like, who really cares? Because it's not like, it turned into a playoff season just because he got 1,000 yards. But I think it means a lot to him. It means a lot to the team. It means a lot to the fans, too. I would have been way more bummed, even if the Vikings had pulled out a victory, if they did it without Justin getting the 1,000 yards.
Well, let's talk Thorns for a minute.
Do we have 5 days to talk about Thorns for this season?
Well, I think appropriately so. My Thorn is J.J. McCarthy. And I think par for the course, like it's been all season. He played really well.
Was starting to, yeah.
He was slinging the ball. He got Justin Jefferson to his 1,000 yards. And then he pulled himself out of the game.
Yeah.
Right? And, number one, that's just kind of surprising. And number two, it like I said, it's par for the course. It's been this way all season long. Just when things start to escalate and things look like they're going well and we're like, okay, yeah, we can finally get behind this kid, he just takes a dump on everything, sorry for that expression. It wasn't very good, but you get the point, right? It's just, come on, where are we going here? We can't go through more seasons like this with him under center where it's is he going to play or not? Is he concussed or not? Is his hand functional or not?
Did he come in with ankle soreness today? I don't know.
And does he have an alter ego today? Come on. We need some consistency. We need him to just grow the heck up and get some stuff figured out here. And either he's the answer or he's not. And the Vikings will need to move on from him pretty quickly if he's not.
Yeah. I have the same exact thorn. Mostly, specifically, him pulling himself out of the game. I was listening to, so today's Monday, January 5th. I was listening to the Power Trip morning show today, and Ben Lieber is on, I think, every Monday. And they asked him about it. They asked Ben about his thoughts on JJ, and he kind of alluded to, the idea that as a player, as a quarterback especially, pulling yourself out of the game. And I get it. Yeah, sure, maybe his hand hurt like crazy. Maybe it was agonizing pain. I don't know. I'm not JJ. I'm definitely not a football player. But it's such a bad look when QB1, who, when he pulled himself out, here's his stat line. 14 of 23 for 182 yards. He was close on one or two chances to get a passing touchdown. And you'd like to think, if he would have been able to gut out the rest of the game, he probably would have got another passing touchdown. In a season where it just felt like you've got so much to prove, JJ, the final game, the final opportunity, you're going to pull yourself out. I feel like, and Ben kind of said it too, Ben Lieber did, most competitors, no matter how bad they're hurting, they're going to make the medical team pull them out of the game. They're not going to be the ones to say, yeah, I'm done. Especially when you're not sitting there in so much pain that you can't even see straight.
You saw that with Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
Carson Wentz was we fed him to the dogs, basically.
It's been joked that the Vikings sacrificed Carson Wentz on the field, who just went out there and took it. You can tell, he was in agonizing pain. And JJ, if he was in that kind of pain, didn't really show it. He's trying to dap up teammates on the sideline after he pulled himself out.
He had his hand behind his back.
He put some weird towel over his hand. It's just such a bad look. I think it's almost as bad of a look as Anthony Richardson a couple years ago, running around like crazy one play and then, taking himself out for a play. your quarterback won. Like, you have so much to prove. You're supposed to be this big 9 kind of guy. The guy that on the first drive, he got a taunting penalty because he ran for a few yards and then was right in the other guy or the Packer face. Like, you do that because you want to be the teammate that everybody rallies around. Well, nobody's rallying around a guy that pulls himself out. And again, I know I'm sounding so critical when I have no reason to say that I'm better than JJ or anything like that. And I'm not saying that. But, I mean, if your hand hurts, you're a quarterback, you're in the NFL, ask for a shot to numb the pain rather than pull yourself out. Did he?
I saw something that said he refused a shot earlier before the game.
I mean, I don't know. We only have the information that we do from watching. You know, we don't know anything else, you know, internal details wise, but it's just such a bad look to pull yourself out of the game like that. And credit to Max Brosmer. When he came in, he was 7 for 8, 57 yards. That's more yards than he had in that start against the Lions on Christmas. I mean, it's just not a good feeling as a fan to see that. I feel like as a teammate, who maybe the teammates have more information and they're not as upset about it, but that's the cherry on top of why you don't go into next season with J.J. McCarthy as your unquestioned QB1. They absolutely have to bring in at least competition, if not a full replacement for him.
Yeah, for sure. I can't find what I was reading about the shot that he refused, but I'm pretty sure I saw something today from a credible source that I would believe that he refused that and wouldn't take it. So, yeah, let's not focus on the negatives. This game was actually really special for a few reasons, and I think our game balls are a perfect encapsulation of how special this game was. And I didn't even really realize when we first made the plan, because I made the plan like a week ago on the podcast, like, we're going to this game. I didn't even realize like this could be a thing. And then like when we got closer and closer to the game, I'm like, okay. And then when we were there and certain players were highlighted in, you know, the intros and at the end of the game, of course we're talking about my game ball, which is going to CJ Ham, because I think he pretty much alluded to it in his post-game press conference. He didn't outright say I'm retiring, but he made it pretty clear that this was his last game. So
I mean, he said it's time for me to spend more time with my family. Yeah. Like, if those are the closest words you can get to other than I'm retiring.
Yeah. So my game ball goes to CJ Ham. It was pretty cool to see they interviewed him post game. We were walking out, so I watched that later. But pretty cool that they gave that guy the spotlight. And I also would like to point out, and I don't want to spoil your game ball, but I think everybody knows where this is going if you're a Vikings fan. But CJ Ham and another unnamed player that you'll name here shortly,
Harrison Smith,
they were, I think, nominated by KOC to like go out and do the coin toss at the beginning of the game, and Harrison Smith opted out of that to allow CJ Ham to do it and kind of get the spotlight to himself a little bit. And I was like, what a classy move. Like, that tells you all you need to know about Harrison Smith right there. But also cool that CJ got to do that. Both of these guys played their entire careers for the Vikings. They've only ever worn the purple and gold. You would hope Harrison Smith is a Hall of Famer.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer to me. And people who don't really know ball will try to argue that. No, to me, Harrison Smith, first ballot Hall of Famer.
And CJ Ham doesn't really have the same pedigree, mostly because he plays a position that is quickly fading in the NFL, fullback. But I don't know. I'm giving my game ball to CJ Ham. He had 1 carry for 1 yard, and it was a touchdown. And he also had a really sick one-handed catch.
Yeah, that catch was really, really nice for like 6 yards, too.
Yeah, like, awesome way for him to go out. Very special.
Yeah, well-earned game ball, more of a career ball there. And especially in a game where, like you said, he did score a touchdown. Like, he scored the only touchdown of the game. yeah, it was designed for him, and it was after a few failed attempts, within the 5-yard line, I think. But they called his number, and he ran it in. My game ball, like we said, Harrison Smith. He didn't come out and outright say, "I'm retiring." He actually said, I can't make a decision right now." So he also did kind of joke and say, like, "Well, after that ovation, I kind of don't have a choice." But I feel like it's probably fair to say 100% CJ Ham, he's done, and it's probably at least 70%, if not way higher, that Harrison Smith has done. Either way, he gets my game ball. Again, off of equity for his whole career. I don't know his full stat line. I'm trying to look up. I don't even know if he had any tackles or anything like that. But he's had a good finish to his season. I wish whatever happened physically to him at the beginning of the year didn't happen, because I feel like he would have, this would have been another really good season for him. But yeah, just a heck of a teammate, a guy that nobody wants to see be done. It was really cool. I had gotten up at one point towards the end of the game to like go to the bathroom or something. And then they called a timeout on the field. And I've heard people say a few times now that when they called the timeout on the field, like Alan Roach, the PA guy on the field, he said something like timeout on the field to, replace a player and say goodbye to Harrison Smith. And again, when everybody cheered earlier in the game for Justin Jefferson when he got 1,000 yards, quadruple that cheer. It was a true standing ovation. I'm sure many tears in the stands. It was a true bow to everybody. He probably choked up. I guess I don't remember exactly, but I was halfway up the little stairs to go to the bathroom, and I immediately turned back around, and we were all cheering and skulling, and it was a really cool moment to be able to say, like, as a fan base, say goodbye to Harrison Smith. Sounds like both Harrison Smith and CJ Ham were supposed to be on that final kneel down, because the Packers, they did call a timeout with a second left to kick their field goal to get rid of the shutout, but also to cover. The point spread was 13.5 points, and the Packers kick a field goal to lose by just 13 points. So there's some talkers there if we really wanted to go about it. But then the Vikings, they got a field goal or a kickoff return and just had one kneel down at the end of the game. And apparently Harrison Smith and CJ Ham were both supposed to be out there for the kneel down. And I guess Harrison Smith had talked to his teammates and was going to be like, all right, guys, I'm going to take the quarterback snap. And he even took a physical, he and Michael Juergens on the sideline, he took one practice snap.
I didn't even know that.
And, they took a practice snap, and they were all prepared. And then KOC was like, all right, never mind, you guys. you're going to stand on the sidelines. But that would have been cool to see, because he would have taken the snap and probably knelt it, but you never know. He might have tried to run around a little bit. I don't know. But we'll never know, because they didn't get the chance to do that. But, yeah, my game ball, Harrison Smith, and we can even just say it's a Skol Hop double game ball for those two guys.
For both of them. Well, and to just kind of wrap all that up too, how cool of the ownership, the entire organization, the PA announcer who's not even from Minneapolis, everybody was just really classy with all of that. And if it's Harrison Smith's last game, that was the way to go out for sure. But I think all of us too would love to see that guy come back.
1,000%.
Even if he produces about what he produced this year, which wasn't a ton compared to previous seasons, I'd take him back. Even if he was on a snap count, even if he, is a fraction of what he used to be, bring him back. He embodies everything that you want a Viking player to be. So if it's the end though, good for that guy.
Well, Ben Lieber on the radio today was kind of alluding to another option where, we could get to a point where, Harrison Smith doesn't start the season with the team. But if it looks like, they might be going to the playoffs, maybe it's something
that phone call coming in, like, hey.
Harrison Smith could come in and help the defense for the last half of the season to push for the playoffs and maybe make a run at the end of the year. That might be the easier route to see Harrison Smith play football again. And maybe that's a pipe dream. Maybe that's, not realistic. But either way, that would be a way for us to see Harry play football again. So, yeah, I'd be okay with that. But Ben Lieber did kind of say, like, one thing that would need to happen for that to be a possibility is you probably need Brian Flores to be the defensive coordinator still, which a handful of coaches got fired today. We could probably list them all off. Who's been fired?
Raheem Morris
for the Falcons.
Pete Carroll
for the Raiders. Gannon for the Cardinals. The Titans coach has already been fired way early in the season. Who else was? Oh, the Giants coach was fired.
Stable.
So 5 jobs right there. Stefanski, he was fired. There's 6. And I think that might be it so far officially. So 6 head coaching jobs, all available, maybe more. We might have missed one or 2.
I'm going to look it up right now.
But you would think Brian Flores should get at least an opportunity to interview for some or most of those opportunities.
We got them.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, there's a real chance Brian Flores, like we said last week, I don't think he's leaving for a lateral move. I don't think he's leaving to be the defensive coordinator anywhere else. But I mean, head coaching positions are out there to be had, and he should be considered a good candidate. That lawsuit aside, that might be the only reason he doesn't get, a good shakeout somewhere else. But yeah, if we want to see Harrison Smith back, we probably need to see Brian Flores back, probably.
Agreed.
But I guess, Evan, we can kind of transition here a little bit. I kind of want to throw some names at you, and in your opinion, I want you to give like 0 to 100 on if they will be back with the team next year. 100 being, yeah, they're absolutely 100% back with the team. 0, obviously, they're 0% back with the team, and they'll be elsewhere. But yeah, we'll just start off with Brian Flores.
That's a tough one. Because I do feel like there are now pretty sizable number of head coach openings, right? Like 6 it's not small. It's also not huge, but there are some options, I guess, is what I'm getting at here. Mm-hmm. Brian Flores has options. It's not like, well, the only job open is the Browns. So it's like, well, you either go there or you're stuck here, He could really take his pick. Like, where do I feel like I'd get the most support from ownership and the GM? Where's the fan base really strong? Where do I get draft picks? What roster can I really work with? What defense is, really playing well right now and that I can really build up? So I'm going to say 70%. Do you want another glass, by the way?
Yeah, sure. 70's not bad. I feel like that's probably fair. The way things sit at this moment, we don't really have even really a good grasp of like who's getting interviews, like it's not like many teams have announced. Some of them have, but not many teams have announced like who they're planning on interviewing. It's still really early in that process here. It's Black Monday right now. So yeah, 70% is probably fair with all the information we have. I'd say about that much too. Here's one for you. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah.
We're going to have differing opinions on this.
Well, I'm asking you what you think. 0 to 100.
I'm going to say 100.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying 100. Okay. I think there's 100% certainty that he will be back. That he will be the GM for a pretty good chunk of time still. I mean, unless next season is completely catastrophic.
Catastrophic.
You had to do it. Unless it is that, Kwesi hasn't lost time, I don't think. Now, next year, if it's really, really bad, I could see them yanking the plug and Yeah, it's going to be kind of a slushy Pseudo there.
Yeah, so we just opened our second beers here. Evan's going with the arms race that I just had, and I'm with the Pseudo here, and mine was a little slushy. Not as slushy.
It's almost like the perfect temperature because it's super cold. And
yep.
That's the way I like my beer. Anyways, I just feel like there wasn't enough egregious things to get rid of Kwesi right now. And I think ownership too is a little bit more on the conservative side. They're not going to be the ones that are like, well, you didn't win, so bye. No, he's been in the playoffs. This team has been in the playoffs 2 of his 4 years. So I think you give him a little bit of a longer leash. You maybe help him find ways to either evaluate talent better or put people on his staff that can help him evaluate talent better. And you see what happens.
Yeah. If I'm answering this question about Kwesi, whether or not he's fully going to be back or not, I think realistically he will be. You taking swigs of pickle juice?
Yeah. There's one.
I think what I want is to move on. It's already a lost cause. Like, I get the idea of, not cutting bait too early and trying to move on too early. That's not a good idea either. But in my mind, it's not fixable. Kwesi has proved he's not able to get the quarterback, which is the most important position in sports. You need to be able to get that. If you can't get that, we've said it many a time, drafting a quarterback 10th overall can either save your career or ruin your career. And so far it's ruining his career. I think realistically, they're not going to fire him right now. I think Kwesi gets at least one more season, especially since the extensions that Kwesi and KOC signed before the 25 season are about to start. Like, they haven't even kicked in yet. So I think realistically, Kwesi's going to be back in 2026. Maybe they will, whether they announce the changes or not, kind of move some things around. Like you said, make sure he has all the right resources, the right people. Maybe Ryan Grigson, who is like an assistant GM, maybe he's the one that is the fall guy. I don't know. So yes, I would fire Kwesi, but I also know realistically they're not going to, and they're going to let him and KOC really take 2026 to say, all right, a big issue was the quarterbacks. Yeah, there's some of the excuse of there have been a handful of injuries this year to, Blake Cashman, the brain of the defense, missed, 4 or 5 games? That's no small thing. But your starting center might have to retire. That's not a small thing. But the real thing is, like, if J.J. McCarthy was a Drake May level quarterback, they would have won more games this year. So I think Kwesi and KOC are going to get 2026 fully to show that they can fix the quarterback problem and that this season was a fluke. So yeah, I'd say it's probably 100 that Kwesi is back as well.
I'm surprised we don't differ on that.
We differ on what we want to happen.
Sure.
I'm not saying I want Kwesi back, but I think realistically he will be.
That's fair. What about KOC? I'm going to throw it back at you now. And I know we spent, I don't know how much time going back and forth on this, 6 episodes ago now? Like in the throes of like the worst stretch of the season when all seemed lost.
No, I'm a KOC fan. I think I said last week my thorn was that we could finally put to rest that KOC is a quarterback whisperer. He's not. At least not with everybody. I think you have to have the right kind of guy to be whispered to by KOC, the head coach. But I'm still a KOC fan. You don't just automatically not be a Coach of the Year candidate months after you win the award, which I've also said I don't really put too much stock into those off-season awards anyways. But the fact of the matter is he did win Coach of the Year. So did Brian Dable a few years ago, and we see he's sitting on the couch. He might be on a podcast just like us right now. I don't know. But yeah, for me, KOC, 100%, he'll be back. And I don't think he's fully the issue. Part of it, you're not the head coach with no fault of a 9-8 team. He's definitely part of the issue, but he's not fully the issue. What about you?
Yeah, I think he's 100% coming back. the leash is pretty long still, and he's got to do way more to get himself fired. Hang on. Whoa.
I'm not eating the stems on these guys.
Whoa. The thing said the whole jar.
Yeah, then I'll fail that. I'm not doing the weird nipple stems. You did.
I ate every single bite.
All right.
My
listeners,
jar is empty.
I made a V with the tips of these pickles with the weird stemmy things. I'm not going to eat them, and I'm okay with that.
For shame, sir. For shame. And you spilled one. Well,
I'm also not going to eat the glass or the metal lid.
We
did say consume the entire jar. I'm just saying. All right, so I failed.
A terrible lawyer.
But I'd say I got at least an A-.
I got an A+ then, because mine's all gone. Fun fact for listeners that maybe haven't been with us for a really long time. I know we've talked about this way back.
Back.
We haven't mentioned it recently. Austin and I consumed, I think, an even bigger jar of pickles.
As a team, though.
Together.
Yeah.
When we were in junior high.
Yeah.
At youth group at church. And that was like one of the challenges that we had to do.
It was like a fear factor.
Dude, we crushed that thing.
Yeah.
Like juice and all.
Yeah, I remember think you chugged all the juice.
I chugged the juice at the end of it, and it was amazing. It was like one of those core memories that'll stick with me forever.
Oh, yeah.
So we almost got to do it again. You fell short.
I won't be shamed into that. I'm not eating the stems. That's okay. All right. Wes Phillips, what do you think? 0 to 100, will he be back?
He's a tricky one for a couple of reasons. Number one, I feel like his role as the offensive coordinator is a little murky because KOC's the play caller, and it's like, wait, who's Wes Phillips? Oh, yeah, he's the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. What does he do again? I don't know. Isn't KOC the offensive coordinator? Right? Like, and then compound that with I think I can only think of one issue, but he had that one, I think, like OWI or something.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that was a while ago.
It was a while ago, but like there have been some issues, you know, like, so you've got Stefanski, who's now out there. Like,
I think Stefanski will get a head coaching job somewhere else.
I don't disagree, but I also, if I'm the Vikings, if I'm Kwesi, if I'm ownership, I'm taking a good long look at Stefanski. That guy was a pivotal part of the Vikings organization for a very long time.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's very
14 years at least.
I'm sure he's very well connected in the Minneapolis area. Like, I think it would, I mean, at least do him a little bit of just like, hey, we'll give you the phone call. We know it's probably going to be a no, but you know, if I'm Kwesi, I'm at least picking up the phone and being like, hey, tough news about Cleveland, but good news, we want you here.
Well, and maybe it's one of those, if for some reason Stefanski goes, you know, a week or two, however long into this coach hiring cycle, and doesn't get a head coaching job or doesn't immediately get latched on as an offensive coordinator with a new head coach or something like that, maybe it's one of those. I don't want to sound totally unknowledgeable in saying, oh yeah, Wes Phillips doesn't do anything, because the fact of the matter is we don't know.
We don't know.
For all we know, Wes Phillips is like completely the reason the Vikings have done anything good on offense. And I don't know, if you were to ask KOC, maybe he'd be like, yeah, Wes Phillips is my guy, and I wouldn't be able to do anything without that. We just don't know. We're not in the building. We just see what we see on the TV. Yeah, Wes Phillips does have like a weekly press conference like every coordinator does, but like Kevin O'Connell is the face of the team. He's the head coach, but he's also an offensive-minded head coach. So obviously, like we've said it a few times, the coach and the quarterback, they get all the glory and all the blame. So I don't want to just completely sit here and be like, yeah, Wes Phillips, who cares? Who is that guy? I forgot about him already. Get rid of him. We want Stefanski back, because that could be short-sighted. But yeah, maybe it's one of those where if Stefanski doesn't immediately latch on as a head coach or an OC, maybe the Vikings are like, we see it all the time, like, hey, we want you to be the special assistant to the head coach or the passing game coordinator, or just, I mean, I feel like we've seen, like, didn't Mike Zimmer always have like an assistant head coach that wasn't necessarily the defensive coordinator or the offensive coordinator? I mean, it might be a good way to get him in the building and have him contribute with, you know, some kind of weird title. And then who knows if then it's always nice to have a backup plan. If Kevin O'Connell just starts sucking it up, then you at least have a guy. It's like, oh well, I mean, if you suck it up too much, we got Stefanski right here. I'm not predicting that to happen, but I do think Wes Phillips. I haven't heard anything that tells me he won't be with the team anymore. And I mean, the offense did okay-ish sometimes this season, despite injuries and J.J. McCarthy's development. So I think until we hear something definitive, there's no reason to think Wes Phillips will be gone. I think it's probably at least a 90 that he'll still be with the team.
Yeah, I would say so too. I'd say it's pretty high. All right, here's what I want to do for the next couple, because they're all defensive players.
Okay.
Next few, not just two, but the next three. We can just rank them most likely to be back and least likely to be back.
Okay.
So the three are Jonathan Grenard, Hargrave, and Allen.
Yeah. Are they all John?
They might be.
Javon Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen.
So two Jonathans and another J.
Yep. I'll start. I think Grenard makes a ton of sense to move on from.
And we're going to disagree on that one, too.
Yeah, well, we already have, because we spent some time talking about this when we went to the game yesterday. But I just think he right now, according to Over the Cap, he will be the second highest paid player that the Vikings have. And he will be... 9.9 million in dead money if you cut him before June 1st. If you cut him after, it's only 3.3 million.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking
this is Grenard.
Yeah, I think you move on from him. I think he's too expensive, and you have Dallas Turner, who's proven himself to be this up and coming edge rusher that can fill that starter role perfectly. You've also got some other guys like Ivan Pace Jr. and Levi Drake Rodriguez that have played pretty well, and I know they're not edge guys necessarily, but if Brian Flores is back, he moves them all around anyways. It's not like a Myles Garrett, just like you're gonna line up here and you're just gonna like go after the quarterback every time and get 23 sacks and set the record.
Yep.
That's not how this defense works. Jonathan Grenard, too expensive. I think he's least likely to come back. I think it's a tie for me between the other two. I think we had high expectations for both of them coming in. Neither of them started great, and they finished okay. So I think Jonathan Grenard's the most likely to go, and then least likely is a tie between Hargrave and Allen.
Yeah. For me, I could see the logistical and, business side reasons for moving on from Grenard. However, it's hard to, even if Dallas Turner is up and coming and he looks like he's ready to take that step to be not just a starter but a really good player, like a Pro Bowl level type player, it's still hard to let go of a young, high performing edge rusher that, yes, he's expensive, but on some level worth the money. I think you keep him. I think you got to, unless you can get a first round pick for him or something. Like, that's the other aspect is everybody's got a number, like everybody, we could joke about it. Joe Burrow has a number. Like, there is a package that you could present any team for any player for them eventually to be like, yeah, we can't pass that up. So I could see that happening for Grenard and the Vikings, where they get an offer or they shop around maybe. But for me as a fan, that's such an important position, and a guy that when he's healthy, which has been most of the time, and I think this year, had the Vikings been right in the playoff hunt or in the playoffs at all, he probably wouldn't have had shoulder surgery, when he did, because it was one of those like, yeah, I'm hurting, we're not playing for anything anyways, I might as well. Just same with Josh Metellus. Now, I think Hargrave, he is too pricey.
He's very expensive too.
And not productive to that price tag at all. Whereas Jonathan Allen, it kind of started off kind of slow. Well, both of Hargrave and
Allen are both expensive.
Well, they're both expensive, and in the first game against the Bears, both of them were dominant. And then Hargrave kind of disappeared, and Allen kind of disappeared for a while too, but then he really started to turn it on. And I'm still a Jonathan Allen fan. Yeah, he's getting up there. Yeah, he's kind of pricey. But again, that's a position where it's hard to turn away good players. And yeah, even if the Vikings are over the cap, you can always figure that out. And at some point, you do have to spend money for good players. So yeah, for me, it is most likely to return is Allen, then Grenard, then Hargrave. I think Hargrave is, as close to a 0 for me as anyone on this list of being able to return.
Interesting. All right. We got one more on the list.
We do, and this is an arbitrary list that we wrote ourselves. And it may be dictating what we're going to talk about for the rest of the episode, but Evan, this isn't talking about playing time or opportunity or spot on the depth chart. This is just talking, are they back in 2026? JJ McCarthy, what do you think?
I think had he been drafted lower, he wouldn't be back.
Okay.
But I think because he was drafted so high, there's just like this built-in, like, you almost get, and maybe they're not all with the Vikings, but you get your first full 4-year contract, right? Like, you get 4 years to prove yourself, 4 years to adjust, 4 years to learn the NFL game and all of its nuances that are different from the college game. I don't think, well, I shouldn't say it that way. I don't know for sure if all 4 of those years for JJ McCarthy will be with the Vikings, but I'm confident saying right now year 3 will be with the Vikings because this will be his 3rd year, even though it doesn't feel like it because he didn't play in his first year. But I think he will get that 3rd year next year. Whether or not he plays, whether or not he starts, I don't know. Who they bring in to help him, which is definitely a need, and we'll talk about who that could be here in a minute. All that still remains to be seen, but I think he's definitely a Viking next year. I think it's 100% a given. The team has invested too much into this kid to just dump him. And to borrow our own little catchphrase, it would be the most Vikings thing ever for him to get dumped right now and then go be super successful with someone else.
Yep.
Like, we've seen it so many times. Brad Johnson won a freaking Super Bowl with the Bucs. Rich Gannon went off and played way better with the Raiders than he ever played with the Vikings. And I'm sure there are more. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's a Viking quarterback next year, whether he's first string, second string, who knows? We'll see. It depends on how the offseason goes. It depends on who they bring in. If they bring in a Spencer Rattler, I think JJ McCarthy's your starter.
You hope he would beat out a Spencer Rattler, but
yeah,
you'd think that would be a 3-way competition between Rattler, McCarthy, and Brosmer. Yeah,
but you bring in a guy like Mac Jones or Malik Willis or Jimmy G.
I think I think it's an open competition with any of those guys if that's who they bring in. There's only a short list of names where it's like, oh, they're not competing. JJ is not going to be the starter because they brought in Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, which those things won't happen. But if they did, if they somehow announced, sometime between now and September, like, oh, Vikings traded with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson's back in purple again, but with the better purple, there is no competition. And honestly, that kind of a scenario for me is the only reason JJ McCarthy is not 100% with the team anymore, because you think in a hypothetical, this will never happen. I'm not saying they're going to trade for Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, but if they were to, you'd think the other team would say, we need JJ McCarthy too. Like, we'll take your first round picks or whatever it is, but like, you're also throwing in JJ McCarthy because we at least need a body to put in that room too, whether or not he's their starter. So that would be the only hypothetical scenario that JJ McCarthy's not on the Vikings, is if they made some historical blockbuster trade for, frankly, an MVP level quarterback. But I totally cut you off there. Was there anything else you were saying?
No, I would just maybe add to what you just said, or respond to it, I guess. I don't know that the Vikings have that much cap room to go out and make a huge blockbuster trade unless the incoming quarterback is willing to like basically play for nothing next year and kick all that money down the road into future years, you know.
I agree with you, but I will say too, the joke is always that the cap is a myth, and where if there's a will, there'll be a way, and I'll never pretend to be smart enough to say like, oh yeah, no, they could totally do it because this and this, or oh heck no, they can't do it because of this. You know, there are avenues to move numbers around and figure all that out anyway. So if there's a conversation to be had about Joe Burrow, and the only thing stopping that deal from happening would be the Vikings cap space, they would figure that out. Again, I'm not advocating for Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson, certainly not in early January right now, but if that's what they were planning on doing, they could figure it out.
So let's list off some of these potential quarterbacks, and let's kind of, I guess, keep the same thread going. Which quarterback do you think is most likely to be in purple next year?
Okay.
And which one do you think is least likely to be a Viking next year? So I think we should just list them all off.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of just spitball for a few minutes on that.
Let's preface this really quick before we really get diving into this. So this list of names, for the most part, that we're going to list off is all coming from a VikingsTerritory.com article from, I feel like it's been over a week or two now. The title of it is Predicting Vikings Next Quarterback Move. And basically, Vikings Territory, they kind of consolidated a list of a bunch of writers for the site that each kind of picked one quarterback that could be a Viking next year, and then gave like a paragraph of, I think they could be because of this. So we won't dive too much into that article other than using it as framework for our little segment here. But if you're interested, maybe we can link it to the show notes here. Go ahead and check that article specifically out from VikingsTerritory.com, as well as just their site in general. Evan and I are both big fans of that site. They do things pretty good. But yeah, Evan, I don't know. Do you want to list them off, or you want me to list them off? How do we want to do this?
Well, and you go.
All right. So we kind of said his name already, but Spencer Rattler. He's currently a Saints quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a free agent or anything. He may get cut. I don't know. But either way, as of this moment, if the Vikings were to get Spencer Rattler, they'd probably have to trade the Saints for him, however much that would be. But yeah, what do you think? How do we want to do this? Do we just want to read them all off?
Just read them all off, and then we can kind of just spitball on some of our most likely and least likely candidates.
Okay, so Spencer Rattler with the Saints right now. Marcus Mariota, who is currently a Commander, but I think he's about to be a free agent. Kenny Pickett, who is a Raider, and I don't think he's about to be a free agent, but either way, the Raiders are all in shambles. They might be drafting Mendoza with the first overall pick. You never know. Mm-hmm. Malik Willis, who is a Packers quarterback, and he will be a free agent here. Joe Burrow. I mean, he would require a historic blockbuster trade. Again, he's with the Bengals. Will Levis, he is a Titans quarterback. I think he's been on IR for quite a while now, all of this season, but I don't think he's going to be a free agent. Joe Flacco, 40-plus years old. He's a Bengals quarterback. He will be a free agent. Mac Jones, 49ers quarterback. If you're going to get him, you're going to have to trade for him. Jimmy Garoppolo, currently with the Rams. He'll be a free agent. And then one name that wasn't on that list, but I think is still worth mentioning right now, Carson Wentz. He'll be a free agent, but he's already in your building. You know the most about him, theoretically, than anybody else on the list.
I'm going to get a little controversial here, man.
All right, let's hear it. Oh, another name that wasn't on the article, but probably worth talking about just because Joe Burrow's on there. I mean, Lamar Jackson, he technically could be talked about as well.
Well, speaking of, I think Joe Burrow is one that I think we could see in purple.
Okay.
I think he expressed so much frustration in the Bengals organization, and he was unfortunately one of those players that didn't really have any problem airing his grievances in public, which I'm not saying I want this. But I think he definitely stirred the pot quite a bit. I know there were a couple of sound bites of him that came out when he was mic'd up, just on the sideline, frustrated with his head coach. That. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he's like sitting on the bench and watching what was happening on the field, and he just like was very vocal about the fact that Zach Taylor had made whatever decision he made. Joe Burrow grew up a Vikings fan.
Did he, or is it just that one photo that we've seen?
There's a picture of him in a Randy Moss jersey.
So I don't know.
Anyways, I don't know. I think that would be a real splashy move. You said it a little bit ago. There wouldn't be any competition. J.J. McCarthy would absolutely be second string.
I think in that scenario, you're 100% trading J.J. McCarthy to the Bengals,
and that could be the scenario too. Yeah. I don't know that it's 100% that J.J. would be gone, but I think he would be almost certain. I wouldn't say 100% certain, but almost certainly a part of that trade package. But I don't know. I think that could be a really interesting possibility. And we said it at the beginning of the season. This team is in win now mode, and you're not really losing a ton of guys from the other parts of the team. Like, you've got a really solid core, and I would still say at this point, now that the Vikings 25-26 season is over, the 26-27 season still has a ton of potential to be a win now team. And so maybe that's Kwesi's Hail Mary. Maybe he's just like, well, apparently I can't draft well, so let's try this, and if it works, great, and if not, I guess I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that is where you'd get me on board with getting rid of Jonathan Grenard too, because if you had some kind of a trade package that allowed you to send, that would probably still, a J.J. McCarthy, Jonathan Grenard, and then probably at least 2 first-round picks along with those guys, plus some other stuff to sweeten the deal just to get Joe Burrow. That might be that's the kind of package that it would require, if not way more. I'd be okay with it. You're mortgaging the future.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking multiple years without a first-round pick. You're talking, man, I hope Joe Burrow is healthy. Man, we're giving our all just for that. But if he's not healthy, and if he's, if he misses time, or if he ends up sucking, then you're just back in the same situation you are right now, just minus a couple first-round picks, at least, probably 3 first-round picks at least.
Maybe we should make this more like our wish list, because Joe Burrow and then I would say Lamar Jackson would top my wish list of Vikings quarterbacks.
I mean, that's the order I would go. I'd want Joe Burrow way before Lamar Jackson.
Agreed.
But I wouldn't say no to either right now.
Correct. And then I think after that, I think Mac Jones looks like a pretty decent option. Malik Willis looked really good for the Packers, filling in for Jordan Love until he got hurt. So, I don't know. That would be the top of my list. The bottom of my list, Spencer Rattler is definitely at the bottom of my list. I just remember watching him when he was in high school on that.
Oh, was he on the show?
He was on that one show. I forget what he was even called, but
whatever it was, QB or whatever.
He was on MTV or something. Or no, was it on Netflix? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about.
He just annoyed the crap out of me. And honestly, I'm just not really interested in any of these other guys. Marcus Mariota, not interested. Kenny Pickett hasn't really done anything in the league.
No, he's bounced around too much. But apparently he must be, good enough in meeting room and on the practice field, because he keeps getting opportunities. But yeah, I agree. He doesn't move the meter for me much at all.
The other guys are kind of in the middle. I don't think I'd like to see some of those guys I just listed in purple. Carson Wentz, Jimmy G. Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking to fill a crap spot for one season, or part of a season because your plan A went down, I think that's Garoppolo or Wentz, and we've already seen what that looks like with Wentz. Maybe Wentz would be better if he had a full off season in the same team, or maybe even working out. I don't know how in shape he was. He was fine, but I don't know. Maybe he would have been better if he had been with the team the whole off season. My dream preference is the Burrow Lamar Jackson, but I also put that at like a 2% chance of happening, either one. Will Levis might be an interesting one with the right. If you still think there's some QB whisperer to KOC, maybe a guy like Will Levis might be good. Maybe a guy, who knows, maybe Spencer Rattler with a quote-unquote QB whisperer.
I don't know.
Who I've already taken that title away from Kevin O'Connell in my mind. But yeah, maybe a Will Levis, Spencer Rattler could be good. But those are both, I think, that they're in the tier of, if you sign those guys or trade for those guys, it's a competition, not an all-out replacement of J.J. McCarthy. We can talk before he pulled himself out of the game against the Packers. And really the last, 3-4 games he's played in, J.J. McCarthy has shown, all right, there's something there. Like, he threw a couple passes against the Packers where I don't care if they're second stringers or backups that you're going against on defense. There were some good passes. He had some zip, especially if you're saying, oh, his hand's hurting bad enough that he pulled himself out. Man, some of those passes looked great. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting talker, but I think we're kind of in the same boat of what our dream situation would be, and then outside of the dream situation of Burrow or Jackson, not really any name on that list moves the meter for me too much at all.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see what happens. We're just a couple of dudes drinking beer, and we don't know anything. We're not GMs. We're not coaches. We're not players. But we've always got something to talk about. And with this team especially, it seems like it's always got to do something with the quarterback. So that will be something that we'll track basically from now until next season when that starts. So,
I mean, we're not done talking about the quarterback position until
week 1.
J.J. McCarthy earns a Pro Bowl nod, or something like that. We've kind of joked that it's been our biggest talker as a podcast since we started, because there's always been an A topic for the quarterback position ever since we started. That's not going to change. And even if they do trade for Burrow, then my first question is going to be like, all right, is he going to be healthy? Because that's the biggest thing with McCarthy is, one, is he developing? Two, is he healthy? Burrow's had a couple of up and down health seasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a question for everybody too.
Let's finish this off real quick. Not that I like talking about other NFC North teams, but
it's relevant football.
There's an NFC North battle happening wild card weekend. It's this Saturday, actually, in Chicago. The Bears are hosting the Packers in the first round of the playoffs. Right now, Chicago are 1.5 point favorites. The over-under is set at 45.5. Who do you got at Soldier Field this Saturday?
I think the Bears are going to pull it out. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game from either team. The Packers are just so injured, and that would have been the case. They sat a bunch of players against the Vikings here yesterday, but they're so injured outside of that anyways. Love would have sat the game against the Vikings no matter what, but isn't he coming off an injury right now too?
Yeah, that's why Malik Willis was starting, and then Malik Willis got hurt, and so Love was actually the backup yesterday when we watched him play.
Yeah, but it was smart for them not to play anybody. The Packers were not trying to do anything in that Vikings game except not get shut out and just get out of the game alive and not get anybody injured. But I still think at this moment the Bears are better poised. They're probably more jacked up, ready to go. You could argue about who the better coach is at the moment. I don't think there's any question that of their careers so far, LaFleur, he's like 7 years in. Obviously, he's the better overall coach right now, or like up until now. But at this very moment, who's going to lead their team to a victory easier? I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I think the Bears being at home, having the adrenaline of being in the playoffs for the first time in a while and division winners for the first time since 2018. I think the Bears are going to win this, but I'm also not a believer in the Bears. I think they're going to get taken down by the Seahawks or the Niners
or something.
Yeah. So I think in this game, Packers Bears, again, as close as it'll be, I think the Bears will pull it out. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the odds right now. I think Chicago wins. I think it's a close game. It'll be outdoors. It's January. It's probably going to be cold. It's going to be windy. We're supposed to get some weather this weekend. And they're playing on Saturday, not on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
They play the 7 p.m. Saturday game. So I'm interested. It'll be interesting to see how the injuries affect the Packers. Maybe they rested enough when they didn't play against the Vikings and did enough to score 3 points with 1 second left. Or maybe they're just so banged up that, it's not worth it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I like the Bears.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be something like the Bears will win something like 20-17 or like 24-21. Something. It'll be a close game like that.
Yep.
It's also not going to be 3-0. They'll score a few points, but
I think both of these defenses will have good games. So I don't know if they even get to 45.5. Over under. And especially being outdoors and cold, could see a lot of running the ball and just hard-nosed football. Mm-hmm. Which you would expect out of Packers-Bears playoff game.
Oh yeah, it'll be a fun one to watch. I think bittersweet because fun as a football fan, but also crappy as a Vikings fan. At least the Lions aren't in there, and that means the worst fan base in sports is going to be watching football, and not rooting for their team. The worst fan base in sports. So
you know what else is bittersweet? The fact that we're done with purple punishments for the year.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
You threw a change up on us this week. Maybe you'll throw another one on us next week. Who knows?
No. We're done.
I would be okay with putting the pickles back on the wheel for next year. Listeners, if you can think of any good purple punishments that we can put on the wheel for next season, we can listen. I think as much as you hated it, eating something spicy, that's probably a good one to put on the wheel.
Yeah, I would much rather eat a whole jar of pickles like I did tonight than eat the spicy thing that I did last week. But
I'm sure we could find spicy pickles.
No thanks.
We're set up for Sting Pong now. Thank you, friend of the show, Brian. But yeah, if you, listener, can think of anything else to put on there, we're not going to do anything like torturous. We're not going to do anything crazy, but something fun along the lines of the cinnamon challenge or shooting each other with a BB gun. You
bruised me real good in my armpit right here when we waxed our armpits.
I think we add that one back. Yeah, I know that one was terrible,
but you didn't do it the right way.
No,
so
maybe I did it the exact way intended.
Bad.
All right, man. If people want to reach out to us, how can they find us?
Hit us up on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Twitter are probably some great places to go. TikTok, we're there as well. Mm-hmm. We're in a few other places as well, but those are the big ones. Go find us. The Skol Hop. We're pretty easy to spell, pretty easy to find, and yeah. Drop a comment on the YouTube video. That's probably one of the better ways to let us know you're out there watching.
Yeah, if it's funny enough, maybe we'll pin it. Special thanks again to Blue for providing us a reasonably priced set of tickets to the Vikings-Packers game. Tim, you're a good sport as a Packer fan, and you really did us good the whole trip. So thanks to those guys. And I guess don't forget to check out That's Badass Wood Art and using our promo code SKOLHOP for 10% off. Evan, did I miss anything at all?
I don't think so.
All right, man. Well, these two beers were great. The Arms Race from Big Grove and the Pseudo from Toppling Goliath. We could spend another 20 minutes talking about how great they were, but the fact is they're just great beers. Find them if you can, and you will enjoy them, I promise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really great beer. Great episode.
Maybe the best one yet.
Yeah. Skol.
Skol.